Welcome to the inaugural running of the Ligier JS F4 Series. My name's John Fippin. Ben Sissel seated alongside of me. We've got a guest announcer coming and running just a little bit late is Hayden Bowlsbey, but we hope to have him in the booth with us. But this will be the first race of ever.
History.
Yeah, history is made, absolutely. Now, of course, it's the first race with this series, but these cars are not new. This is the same Ligier JS F4 16 that we've been racing for the past 8 years. This is the 9th season of competition for this car, but with the debut at our next race meeting at Road America of the brand new Ligier JS F422, which will take over the F4 US Championship, our major domo here at PMH Motorsports Holdings was Tony Perella, and came up with the idea, well, let's find a use for these cars that have sort of aged out of the prime class. So this is an opportunity for drivers even younger than those who meet the minimum age of 15 years of age to race in the F4 Championship, to race in this Ligier JS F4 Series using the original chassis. You're getting a good view of some of the drivers as our grid walk going on. There's the 24 car of Daniel Quimby, all the way from Australia for the Atlantic Racing team here this weekend. But we've got a big field of 14 of these cars getting ready to head out for their 30-minute or a 35-minute race, actually. We understand we're going to try to do 30 minutes of racing, and we've got a 40-minute window to get that in. So there's a possibility that we could go a little long if we have any off-course excursions, but we're going to keep our fingers and toes crossed just to make sure that doesn't happen. The new Ginetta pace car heads out, and there goes the field behind it. Let me introduce these 14 starters to you. I'll start from the back, and we'll work up toward the pole sitter. Because he had a spin in the qualifying session and brought out a red flag, he'll have to start at the back on the outside of row 7. That's the number 72 of Jacob Lauder, a 20-year-old from Edmond, Oklahoma. He drives for the local team, the IGY6 Motorsports team. Next to him will be another debutant, the number 1 of Jake Pollock. Jake, out of San Antonio, Texas, a 17-year-old driving for the Jensen team. Moving up into row number 6 on the outside, one of the recipients of the PMH Powering Diversity Scholarship, the number 49 of Harbor Doss out of Solon, Ohio, up near Cleveland. He's for the new Berg DMG racing team. Alan Berg and Francois Doran sort of combined forces, and this is a new team, and we're glad to have him here.
Now that's Alan Berg, Formula F1 starter, right?
Precisely, and his son Alex, of course, who raced with us a year ago and was a Team USA scholarship winner, raced over in the Formula Ford Festival in Great Britain.
Wow.
Moving forward is another single car team, the 28 of Drew Such. Drew in the Such Racing entry. He's out of St. Charles, Illinois. He's a student at Purdue University, Indianapolis. Moving forward now into row number 5 on the outside, the 83 of Christopher Parrish. He's another PMH Powering Diversity Scholarship. He also drives for the local IGY6 team from just down the road in Folsom, Louisiana. Next to him on that 5th row is car number 5, Dimitri Nolan, making his debut with the series. Dimitri's out of Fairview, Texas, and he drives for the powerhouse Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports team. In row number 4 on the outside, another debutant. Car number 2 is Parker Wallen. Parker out of Medina, Minnesota, driving for Jensen. He's comes to us directly from go-karting. He raced in his native Minnesota, but also in Texas and California. Hayden Bowlsbey has joined me in the right seat here. Hayden, welcome.
Welcome.
Great to have you with us. Let's run the rest of the grid, then you and I can talk just a little bit more. Inside of row 4 is car number 95, the Australian Brad Mojman. Again, a karting phenom in his home country of Australia, and looking forward to great things for him. The gal who led both of the practice sessions earlier this weekend and thought it might be a shoe-in for the pole ended up qualifying just outside of row 3. That's the Uruguayan Maite Caceres. She's also a recipient of the PMH Powering Diversity Scholarship, and Maite drives for the International Motorsports team. Moving forward into row number 3 on the inside is another Australian, the number 24 of Daniel Quimby from Sydney, Australia, for the Atlantic Racing Squad. In row 2 on the outside, car number 44, Pablo Benites Jr. from Port Orange, Florida for Scuderia Buell. Pablo Jr. Makes his home, actually, in Rosario, Argentina, but lives in Port Orange when he's here in this country. He's the son of the team principal for Scuderia Buell, Pablo Benites Sr. Starting alongside him, the number 45 of Bacon Zelenka. Bacon, a returning driver. He raced in the F4 Championship with us a year ago, and he's stepped up into the Ligier JS F4 Series for his second season. He's with Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports. Bacon makes his home in Lyons, Illinois. Inside of row 2, outside of row 1, car number 29, Kekai Hauanio, half Hawaiian. Kekai races for Crosslink Kiwi as well, but Kekai currently living just outside of Tampa, up in Plant City, Florida, and your pole sitter, making his first start with us, and he's the youngest driver in the field, the number 25 of Teddy Musella, 14 years of age, from Orlando, Florida, for Scuderia Buell. It looks like the field is full, the lights are out, and we are away. And a good jump for our pole sitter, Teddy Musella, in that red number 25 with the 29 of Kekai Hauanio right behind him. In that green car, you can see to the inside, just behind the pole sitter, is Bacon Zelenka as they make their way down into turn number 1, the Cube 3 architecture, turn 1. And we keep our fingers crossed for these youngsters that everybody makes it through that first turn okay. And that's exactly what has happened. So our pole sitter getting it done with Teddy Musella at the front. Right behind in his wheel tracks is Kekai Hauanio. Is Hauanio trying to make a move. Bacon Zelenka going side by side with another car. I think that was Daniel Quimby in the 24 that Zelenka was battling with. There you get a good shot of Quimby's machine. And then one of the Jensen machines, that's the number 1, or the 2, excuse me, of Parker Wallen, as they work their way up toward turn number 4 now, as this 30-minute race well and truly underway. Now they're into the backside of the racetrack, the sweeping 5-6, which has caught a couple drivers out here, and then turn 7. As we've got nose-to-tail racing, just what we like to see in these Ligier JS F4 chassis. They don't generate quite the downforce of the Formula Regional Americas cars, so these guys are able to run a lot closer together and stay right under one another. Hayden, you and your team have got 2 drivers in the field with Jacob Lauder and Christopher Parrish.
Yeah, Chris seems to be doing pretty good. He took advantage of that mess up by Bacon battling in turn 3, it seems, so he's doing pretty well. And Jacob had some struggles in qualifying, and seems like he's doing well as well, so that's good.
Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed that all that works out. Christopher finished 26th in the championship a year ago. He had a best finish of 8th at VIR. As the first lap is coming to a conclusion, as you can see from the great drone shots, these long front straightaway where these cars can really get up to terminal velocity before they head into turn number 1. But right now, the pole sitter, Teddy Musella, leading the way. Oh, we got a little bit of a struggle there from Daniel Quimby as he gets a little sideways. Excuse me, that was the 83 of Christopher Parrish. Sorry, I misidentified him. Christopher got just a little sideways, and that's going to cost him a position, as it looks like Maite Caceres is challenging. That's the 44 car just behind them of Pablo Benites, who's making a run up in the Scuderia Buell number 44. Maite has a red car as well, and I misidentified her machine, but you can see the leaders spinning stretch out. But the good battle is the one for 4th and 5th right now, and that is Parker Wallen. There you can see the number 2 car of Wallen, and then right behind is the number 49 of Harbor Doss. Harbor Doss back into 13th position. He qualified a little better than that, up in 12th, so he's dropped back 1 spot. As we got good battles all up and down the racetrack here. There's the 6 of Maite Caceres. Right behind her, Parker Wallen. Wallen has the fastest lap of the race so far. We've only completed 2, but Wallen showing some good pace, moving up. He qualified back in 8th position. And there's Maite Caceres, the only female in the field. Maite raced last season with the Formula One Academy, which races a F4 style car. So the learnings for that have certainly, she's been able to put to good use as the field now begins to spread out. Teddy Musella, your leader. Kekai Hauanio in 2nd. Daniel Quimby 3rd. Maite Caceres up to 4th. And then a little deeper in the pack, you can see the 83 of Christopher Parrish going side by side with the 5 of Dimitri Nolan, but Christopher holds him off, and then here comes the 44 of Pablo Benites Jr., and he's going to take advantage of Nolan as well. So Pablo Jr. moving up a spot. That'll put him up into 9th position. Right behind him is the number 5 of Dimitri Nolan on debut here this weekend for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports. The 28 car of Drew Such right at the tail end of this gaggle of cars. Drew running in 13th position last time across the stripe. And then you get a good shot of the 44 of Pablo Benites Jr. with Dimitri Nolan just behind him. Pressure now coming from the 95 of Brad Majman, the other Australian in the field. Majman, a legendary karter in his home of Australia, we understand, and making the run over here into the Ligier JS F4 Championship. Good battle there between the 95 of Brad Majman, and just behind him the 49 of Harbor Doss. Doss, another of the PMH scholarship winners. He's a student at Georgia Tech and likes to work on his cars as well as race them. He built his first go-kart from scratch when he was in 8th grade. So he's obviously mechanically inclined, and he's pretty good behind the wheel as well. Bacon Zelenka having a good battle with Parker Wallen. Bacon able to hold him off right at the moment as the rest of the field streaming through that first turn. Hayden, you've had a chance to drive this track both in the F4 car and, of course, in the Formula Regional car, which we'll see a little later on. I know this is your home track since you're from just up the road in Folsom. It's not been good to you in the past, however. You haven't had great luck here.
Yeah, I mean, it's been all right. Last year I got off on the wrong foot. We were really quick in practice, but unfortunately I had a little bit of a wreck in the last one. It sort of set the weekend out of control, but we're not too far off pace for this race weekend, and we'll see what happens with the race. We have a different kind of tire this year, so we'll see how that works out for all the other drivers as well. You know, strategy is going to be completely different as far as, you know, tire wear. So, you know, you may start to see some cars start to fall off a lot in time. So we don't know yet.
Sure. Well, that's one of the reasons we run the races. We'll see with Hankook making that new compound available for both of these classes this year. A good shot of the number 6 of Maite Caceres as she is pulled away just a bit from the battle behind her. And we've got a safety car coming up as the Janetta Pace car picking up our leader. As we've got the spinner here, we'll see if we can get the identity of that car. I believe it's the number 5 of Dimitri Nolan, who has looped it. That's right at turn number 10, but he's able to get it turned around, and he's going to head back. He collected a couple cones and dragged them off into the racetrack. So we don't know if James in the safety car is going to stop and pick up those 2 cones, but yeah, here it's got a course vehicle on the way to the scene of that incident, so that's good to see. Let's catch our breath, and let's take a break to thank one of our sponsors, and then we'll come back and do a quick rundown before we get the green flag. You're here at NOLA Motorsports Park on the inaugural running of the Ligier JS F4 Series, race number 1 on the weekend.
Okay, so pretend this is your race car. It's on the trailer, and you have an accident. Ouch. At least your truck's insurance will pay for another one? Yeah, not so fast. Standard insurance won't replace your race car, whether it's in the trailer, in the paddock, in the garage, or the repair shop. But at Haggerty, we can protect it for what it's really worth anytime it's off the track. No matter what or where you race, offer less than a set of race tires. Haggerty, let's drive together.
The Sonoma Speed Tour returns to Sonoma Raceway April 19th through the 21st, featuring the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli Western Championship, the Sports Car Vintage Racing Association, Historic Trans Am, the Toyo Tire 2.5 Challenge, PSSA, International GT, and Saturday you can take part in the Haggerty Cars and Caffeine Car Show. You do not want to miss the Sonoma Speed Tour April 19th through the 21st. For tickets, simply go to speedtour.net.
Welcome back to New Orleans, Louisiana Motorsports Park as we have our first full course yellow of this race, as we had a spin from the number 5 of Dimitri Nolan, but he's been able to continue. So the field stacked up behind the new pace car. The lights are out on the pace car that Ginetta made available to us from the folks at Ginetta. We thank them for providing the pace car for all of our racing series here at Speed Tour. James Rogerson is our pace car driver, has been for many years. As you can see the field now, heading into turn 14. The safety car will peel off into the pit entrance. You can see that just there off to driver's left. And now the field enters the Mission Foods turn 16, the final turn on the racetrack. This will be a single file restart. And the green flag is in the hand of the starter. And we are green as the field accelerates away. Teddy Musella from the pole taking the lead. And he's got a challenge as Kekai Hauanio is right beside him as they make the run down toward turn number 1. Right there behind to pick up the pieces is Daniel Quimby. He jukes to the inside. There's Maite Caceres in the 6. The 44 going side by side. Pablo Benites going side by side with Bacon Zelenka. But your leader, still the pole sitter, Teddy Musella, the 14-year-old in his first race with us, got the job done out in front on the restart. Still plenty of time left. Oh, problems again for the 5. As Dimitri Nolan, once again, he has made contact with the barrier and has deranged the rear end of that car. We can see that was right at the exit of turn 1. We've got a replay coming up, and we'll get a chance to see what happened. But a couple cars came together. We'll get this. We can see that that'll be a little deeper in the pack. And here they come into turn number 1. Everybody gets through safely in the leading part, and there's the spin right there. As that was the 2 of Parker Wallen who went around, and then other drivers had to take evasive action, and unfortunately, getting caught out in that was the number 5 of Dimitri Nolan. So Nolan bringing out the first safety car period. The double yellow flags came out because of that, and then got caught up in someone else's incident, obviously, as after that spin by the number 2 of Parker Wallen, Dimitri taking evasive action, got together with another car, and we're going to have the safety car come into action one more time. There are a couple other cars involved, but safety crews are on the scene, and we'll sort out everybody who's involved as they come by the start-finish line. Hayden, I was watching qualifying for the Formula Regional Americas Championship, which you'll be racing in a little later this afternoon. And you obviously had some issues at the first part of the qualifying. Then after the red flag, you came out and bam, went right up to 6th place, I believe.
Oh, it was completely intentional.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Saving tires?
Yep,
okay.
Exactly.
Good
we,
move.
Wanted to come in. I figured I only need about 5 laps to, get some pace. I knew that I wasn't going to qualify up in 1, 2, or 3.
Sure.
So I just wanted to make sure that I would get in a spot where I could be good for the race. So I didn't want to go out there and burn my tires. So I came in, scrubbed my tires for a little bit, came sat, and then went out. And, of course, right when I went out, there was a red figures. But that got cleared up pretty quick. And I went out there and got, I think, like 4 laps or so.
Awesome. All right. Great job.
Kept my tires pretty fresh and
good deal.
Starting in a decent spot.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. That should bode well for you as the afternoon wears on. We were talking about doing a rundown. Now that we've got everybody past the start finish, you can see the recovery work going on there at turn 1. In fact, the safety car took the shortcut between turns 1 and 4 to allow the safety crews to do their job. The pole sitter, Teddy Musella, the 14-year-old, has led from the drop of the green flag, but he was coming under some serious pressure on the restart. Kekai Hauanio, the returning driver in the number 29, raced with us in the F4 Series a year ago, is running second. Daniel Quimby, the Australian, also a graduate, not a graduate, but he raced with the F4 Series a year ago in the 24 car. Maite Caceres, she raced with us back in 2022, but then, as we mentioned, has been racing with the Formula One Academy this past season. So she's back with us and in the JS F4 car, currently running fourth. Bacon Zelenka, another returning driver in the 45 car. Then Christopher Parrish, Hayden's teammate on the IGY6 team. Brad Majman, the other Australian, in the 95, currently running seventh. Jake Pollock in the number 1 for our Jensen in the 8 spot. Ninth is the 28 of Drew Such. Pablo Benites in the number 44 for Scuderia Buell. Jacob Lauter in the 72, who brought out the first yellow flag during the qualifying session. Jacob got off into the gravel trap, but he's worked his way up from starting at the back of the pack. Parker Wallen in the 2, and then the 2 cars involved in the incident are Harbor Das, unfortunately, in the 49, and the 5 of Dimitri Nolan. So those 2 got together after the spin by the 2 of Parker Wallen, but Parker was able to recover and stay on the lead lap. Das and Nolan both apparently have damage to the cars, so they will not continue in this race. They'll finish 13th and 14th. This Ligier JS F4 Championship, again, giving some new life to these original F4 chassis that have been ours to work with for the past several years. And it looks like our race director is going to bring the cars into the pit lane under these red flag conditions. The clock will stop, which is the reason that we're going to do that. So we're going to allow these safety workers to finish their work, as it'll take just a little bit longer to get those 2 damaged cars out of harm's way. So our pace car driver bringing the Ginetta pace car down into the pit lane where the field will stop. These cars are under parc fermé conditions after qualifying, so they're not permitted to do any work on the car during these red flag conditions. They can do what's called driver comfort, so they can provide water for the driver, an umbrella to shade him from the New Orleans sun, but no work can be done. They can't even take tire pressures on these cars during these red flag stoppages on the pit lane. So once again, the clock has stopped with about 15 minutes remaining, so we're just about at half distance. Ben Sissel, who is our co-announcer on some of these races, asked a question. He's a northerner like I am. I'm from Ohio, of course, and Ben travels all over around the country. But we were talking about all of the nicknames that New Orleans has. You know, the Big Easy and that. And I wondered, you being a native to the area, are there any pet names for the New Orleans area that you guys have?
Not that I can think of. I know a nickname for New Orleans. They call it sometimes a fish bowl because it's like a bowl.
Right, exactly.
That's why you have the levees, because anytime you get like a massive storm, it's just going to flood.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I've heard it called sometimes, fish bowl.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one. Let's talk a little bit about your charity, Save 22. I know it's near and dear to your heart. Your dad is a veteran, of course, and Save 22 is named for the fact that we lose 22 veterans to suicide.
A day, yeah.
A day, and that's just hard to believe. You know, I'm a veteran myself, and I certainly appreciate the work that you do, but tell us a little bit about Save 22.
Yeah, they're a nonprofit. They're based out of Carrollton, Ohio, and they basically just give assistance to some veterans that are in need. Like our program will bring some veterans out to the track, try and get them away from home, away from their stress and anxiety, maybe trying to ease some of the PTSD. And it's shown to work a couple times, a lot of the times actually. My lead mechanic on my FR car, he was part of that program, and he's been with us for 3 years now, I think.
Awesome.
So, and he's doing great as far as I can tell.
Yeah, we saw your paddock set up down there right near the tech shed. Beautiful, big tent. You guys are really showing your stuff here. That's great. It's great to see.
Yeah, we have these tents rented out, and we just show up with all our cars. It's real easy. Doesn't break the bank to get them set up, so it's great for the team.
You're our most experienced driver in both championships, competing 3 years in F4, of course, and this is your third season in the FR championship. What have you learned? What is different about Hayden Bowlsbey now than he was 6 years ago?
That's a hard one. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot to go over on that one. I mean, I'd say in F4, maybe like the first 2 years of driving, I didn't really understand the dynamics of the car and how it needs to, you got to pitch the car around the corner. I didn't quite understand that yet. It eventually dawned upon me, and then I got a hang of it. And going in FR, it's a completely different sort of vehicle, It's much faster. I like to say that going from an F4 car to an FR car is like turning on the warp drive on a spaceship. I mean,
I can imagine.
First time you get in an FR car from an F4, it's like you hit the gas, you get slammed in the back of your seat, and it's just stars going past you. Not that way anymore. I'm desensitized to it now.
Well, of course, yeah. Everything slows down when you get more experience.
So, that car, it's sort of similar driving style. I mean, you have to deal with the turbo now a little bit, so you just got to make sure you get a little bit of throttle application in, like pre-apex to get it spooled up so you have power out.
Exactly right. And in the late stages of last season, you had a pretty nasty crash at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Hopefully no lasting effects from that, but you got upside down on the tire barrier there.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate crash because we were doing really, really well. In fact, I had the fastest time on track. So, we were set to be able to go up to P1, if everything had worked out correctly, but it didn't. So.
Yeah.
But I think I had like a little minor concussion after it, but it didn't last too long, and it's in the past now, but, it's good.
You wear a lot of hats at these race meetings. Not only are you the driver, obviously, of the number 22 car in the Formula Regional Americas Championship, but you're a mechanic as well. So, I mean, when you're not driving, you're wrenching on these cars.
I like to not do it at the race weekends. So I have my mechanics work on the car, obviously, but back at the shop, I'm the one servicing these cars. I did all the preseason prep on these cars. So, in fact, Jacob's Lauder car was just built from the ground up right before this race, maybe about a month ago.
Wow, great.
And we'll have another FR car probably at Road America that's also going to be freshly rebuilt.
A 4-car team. That's great. You guys are chasing after Crosslink Kiwi, man. I think they've got 13 here.
It's a lofty goal.
Yeah, exactly right. How's your dad? Everything doing good?
Yeah, we're all doing good. There's a little bit of stress from starting up a new team. The first couple of years are always going to be really, really hard. But it's going to start to smooth out, I think, once we have all our cars going and we get some results and drivers are wanting to drive, it'll come eventually.
I think so. All right. Well, I can remember when you first started out, it was just you and your dad, in a single car trailer coming to the racetrack, and now you've grown to a 4-car team. That's great to see, my friend. As we're going to get another chance to have a look at the incident now that all the cars have recovered here. The last of the safety vehicles making their way toward the paddock with the damaged cars, but here we can see what happens. This will be great from the drone shot as we'll see the cars come down into turn number 1. You can see the side-by-side battling between Kekai and Teddy for the lead. And then watch just behind that threesome. You can see Bacon going just a little bit wide, and then there's 2 cars spinning, and then coming up unsighted, unfortunately, was Harbor Doss and Dimitri Nolan as they got together coming through the turn. Here comes the 49 car of Doss into the paddock. We'll get another view of it from a track angle, a lower angle from the track. But those 2 cars just back. In fact, you can see the 49 of Doss as he bends it in just behind the 95 of Brad Modgman. And then there's the spin. Those 2 cars, I think, just touched as the 44 Pablo Benites and the 2 of Parker Wallen got together, and unfortunately, Dimitri Nolan, who was recovering from the back, just had nowhere to go, and he got collected as well. But it looks like the cleanup has just about concluded. The last of the safety vehicles getting restaged here into the pit lane, and so we should be able to get back to racing momentarily. Again, the clock stopped with 15 and a half minutes remaining. Scott Goodyear, our race director, keeping tabs on all the action. There's a good shot of Bacon Zelenka in that green number 45. Bacon, talked a little bit about the fact that he's really gone all in on this racing thing. I mean, they've been a self-financed team. He was a single-car team, Bacon Racing, a year ago, but he's been able to hook up now with the big dogs, Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports, and Bacon is, obviously looking for funding, as any driver does, but he's mentioned that, he's pretty much all in and looking to keep his career going just as long as he can, and looking for some good results here. And he's getting the weekend off to a pretty good start, currently lying 5th right now. As you can hear the engines coming to life down on the pit straightaway. Our new engine partner, Mountune, doing the tuning on these now MK20s, as James Rogerson takes the Ginetta safety car out of the pit lane, and the field will be following. As we'll take him around behind the safety car. The countdown clock has resumed, and it'll be another single file restart here as we get ready for the second restart of this race. You can see the drivers weaving back and forth, getting the debris off the tires, getting the temperature off of the tires. Hayden, you've been in this situation before where you have a stoppage and you spend some time on the pit lane, and then you have to, crank yourself up and get it done all over again. Psychologically, is it tough to get back into race mode?
It just depends on where you're at as far as your mental state or before, per se, a red flag. If you're in flow state right before the red, and you break that, for me, sometimes it's sort of difficult to get back in. It's sort of like cloudy, but maybe take a lap and a half, adrenaline kicking, and you're sort of back in. But I mean, when you're waiting on the pit lane for a long time, you can be sitting there and it's boring and hot, and you start wanting to fall asleep. Take a little nap while the red flag goes on.
Well, that's good. That means you're relaxed and you're not all amped up. So that's a good thing. A relaxed car driver, a race car driver, is a fast race car driver for sure. As you can see the field, this beautiful facility here in that section right at the top end of the racetrack, 5, 6, and 7. Those are they flat for you in the FR car? No, you really got to lift?
And 5, it's like a little brush to the brake. 6 is like just a little small brush to kind of get it to set. And 6, same thing.
Yeah.
The only thing that's really flat here is that little bend on the back stretch and the last 2 parts of the S's.
Yeah.
But you're flying. You're going like 150 through the S's.
Yeah, exactly. Because the first part of the S's are much sharper, basically. So you've got to feather the throttle through those areas, obviously. But when you get into the tail end of it here, leading right up to turn 13, which is a great passing opportunity, the safety car lights are out. So we're going to try to get this done again. The countdown clock goes to about 13 minutes here. So we'll have a little less than that when the green flag flies. This is a learning experience for a lot of these drivers, as again, 9 of the 14 are making their first start with us. And so that makes a big difference in the experience and the racecraft. But Teddy Musella, one of those who's making his first start with us, and 14 years old. I can't remember being 14 years old, much less imagining what it's like to drive a potent race car like this Ligier JS F4. You can see the green flag already waving. And
wow.
Somebody's got a broken rear wing. That's the 29 of Kekai Hauanio, I believe. That rear wing.
That's an air brake.
Yeah, no kidding. It's an air brake. So problems for Kekai's car. I hope he's aware of it. Certainly if he looks in his mirror, he'll see it.
Oh, that's someone's front wing lodged up in it.
You're right. That's the wing of another car that he's picked up. In fact, yeah, that's the car right in front of him that has lost a front wing. Of course, obviously he's losing time because of that big air brake. There's Maite Caceres going around him.
I'd be concerned about that coming on Lodge and
Yeah.
smashing someone in the head.
Yeah, no kidding. So that's definitely we're going to see a replay of when that car hoovered up that wing, and you can see them coming around, and it looks like there's the 28 of Drew Such. So far, haven't seen the contact that must have caused that. There was a little accordion action going on here. There it is.
Oh, wow.
As the 24 climbed right up on the back of the car in front, Daniel Quimby, and that's what happened. Quimby, yep, great job on the Greenlight TV crew giving us that replay. But Daniel Quimby, who started right behind Kekai, misjudged his timing and got right up on the back of it. Kekai's going to try to stay out there, but again, I'm sure that they're going to ask him to bring that car in, because that could be a safety issue as the field continues. But look at Quimby in the 24 doing his best to run without a front wing. Have you ever been in that situation, Hayden, where you've got a broken front wing? It's bound to change the handling of the car pretty substantially.
Believe it or not, the wings don't do a whole lot in this car. I was testing at Thunderhill Raceway a while back when I was with Jay Howard, and we didn't have a replacement wing there. If you go off track, you kind of knock the wing off because it's so much elevation. So we ended up just taking all the wings off to balance out the car and go test. And believe it or not, it really doesn't drive that much different.
I'm sure that would be a different story in the FR car because the wings
yeah.
definitely bigger on that. But yeah, look at this. Quimby is going side by side with Bacon Zelenka, and he's got no front wing on that car. That is a great job for Daniel Quimby from the Atlantic Racing team out of Sydney, Australia. A little side-by-side action just behind them as Christopher Parrish putting his nose in there. It looks like Christopher's been able to move up to get right behind Bacon now. So I have to give Daniel Quimby credit. He's doing a nice job in that damaged race car, doing just what he needs to do. There's the 44 just behind him, Pablo Benites Jr. Pablo went a little bit wide, you can see, had kind of a rough ride, and that's going to open the door for Jake Pollock to try to challenge him. These drivers working their way through the S's. There's the 95 of Brad Mojman as the two Australians now running nose to tail. Bacon Zelenka up into third spot now as Quimby, despite his best efforts, dropping back just a bit. He'll be able to salvage his best possible finish, but he and Mojman with the 44 Benites right behind him as they make their way through Mission Foods turn 16 and onto the front straightaway. Bacon Zelenka off to the inside, trying to break the draft as Christopher Parrish. Chris doing a great job, Hayden.
Yeah, he's doing great. I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Zelenka's in third, and it seems to me that he's starting to catch up to him. So, you know, if we get a podium this race, if everything goes correctly.
Yeah. On the last lap, Zelenka was at a 45.9 and Christopher Parrish at a 46.1. We understand the side pod on Christopher's car might have a little damage to it, and that could be slowing him down just a bit. And here comes Pablo Benites Jr. taking advantage once again of the problems for Daniel Quimby. The two Jensen drivers running nose to tail. Jake Pollock, that's a great recovery for the number 2 of Parker Wallen. After that spin early on, Parker's moving his way back forward.
He has some side pod damage right there.
Yeah, you could see that on the camera shot. So Teddy Musella still leading. Maite Caceres up to second now. Only a second and a half back. There's a shot of the 44, Pablo Benites from Scuderia Buell. You can see that side pod definitely acting as a bit of an air brake for him. Brad Mojman just in front of him as we're getting down to about 7 minutes remaining in this one. Leaders across the line. Teddy Musella pretty comfortable out in front. Maite Caceres giving chase. She has come to race here as her last lap was a 44 flat. Teddy Musella a 43.7. So she's about 1.3 seconds behind our leader. But Daniel Quimby continues to soldier on with that missing front wing. Currently lying in the 7th spot. There's a good shot of the number 2 of Parker Wallen. Parker making his first start with us, the Minnesota native. And then there's Quimby with that damaged nose of the car. You can see some of the wiring of that front wing dragging on the ground. But again, a great job for Daniel Quimby to continue to do his good. He was, running as high as 3rd prior to that damage on the 2nd restart. And it was self-inflicted. I mean, he climbed up the back of the car in front of him, and that's what created the problem. Kekai Hauanio has not been able to rejoin, as he is now 2 laps down to the lead of the race. So we've got 11 cars still running. Jacob Lauder, the last car on the lead lap. There's Christopher Parrish being chased by Brad Modgman, the Australian. And right behind Brad, Pablo Benites in the Scuderia Buell number 44 with that characteristic red livery. Pablo, just like yourself, races for his dad's team. So, that side pod finally blew off.
His radiator's loose as well.
Yeah, so he's got enough damage that the radiator, Eagle Eye Hayden Bowlsbey here as the mechanic on his car, as well as the driver, knows the inside of these cars just as well as any of the other mechanics. But boy, that's a great battle. Look at Christopher Parrish coming under pressure now as Brad Modgman tries to go to the outside. Christopher doing a good job of staying right in the middle of the racetrack. He didn't block him, but he, made it possible for Brad to have to make a choice to go around the outside as opposed to diving down to the inside. We'll see how that shakes out here in the final 4.5 minutes. But this may be the best battle on the racetrack. That's for 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Took a wide turn. He's got the inside on this one now.
Yep. Christopher's holding off the challenge. The problem for Brad Modgman, he went a little bit wide there at turn 3, and that's opened the door for Pablo Benites to get in front of him. So a change for 5th and 6th. Benites now up into the 5th spot. And again, a loose radiator. Again, he's going to have to watch for overheating in that situation, because with that side pod missing, the cooling efficiency of that radiator is not going to be nearly as good as it is with the side pod there.
Oh, for sure. The duct is not aligned with the radiator anymore. So, air is going to take a leaf past the resistance. It's going to flow right by it.
So he'll keep an eye on the temperature gauge. There's no telemetry on these cars. I mean, the folks in the pits can't monitor the engine, so it's up to the driver to keep an eye on it. And if it gets into that danger zone, he'll have to retire the car. As it's a warmish day. It's not really baking hot quite yet, but it is April after all. If we're racing in August, it would be a different story.
Yeah, it only gets hotter here.
Yeah, exactly right.
Someone off in the gravel. There's a lot of smoke back there.
Yeah, looks like somebody dropped a wheel off at the exit of turn 6. We'll see if we can sort that out. Daniel Quimby now battling with the 2 of Parker Wallen. That's for 7th position. Quimby minus the front wing. Parker Wallen in a position to pick up yet another spot. Parker started in 8th position, and he's currently running in 8th, right where he started, but that's about to be 7th, I think, as he's going to find a way around Daniel Quimby. I'm guessing the lack of the downforce on the front of the car is probably hurting the front tires on Quimby's car. It doesn't make that much difference, but he's probably scrubbing those tires a little more than he would if the wing was on it.
Yeah, I mean, in this car, the low speed and mid speed is unchanged. The only really spot that wing makes a difference here is in the S's, because you're going at peak speed of this car through there.
Yeah.
Whereas in the FR, a winglet falls off. Low speed's not terrible, but your mid and up just are not sufficient enough to turn the car.
We'll stay right with this battle between Quimby and Wallen. Wallen looking for any advantage he can find as he takes a little wider entry there into turn 13. And quickly back to 14 and then into the sweeping 15-16 complex, the Mission Foods final turn on the racetrack. We will see the white flag next time by, I'm guessing, as we've got about 1:42 seconds remaining as the leaders are already by. But Christopher Parrish just one step away from the podium here, although he's dropped back about 4 seconds behind Bacon. But we'll keep an eye on this battle between Majman and Quimby, or excuse me, the Quimby and Wallen. Majman's disappeared in the distance up in front. Quimby doing his best to salvage that 7th place spot. Parker Wallen would like nothing more than to take it away from him if he can. As we're on the penultimate lap, we should see the white flag next time by my reckoning. Parker's going every which way he can find to see if he can find the advantage around the outside as they head down toward turn number 5. Quimby doing a good job of driving defensively to keep that car behind him. He's not doing anything untoward. I mean, he's not blocking per se, but he's making the car as wide as he can to try to keep Parker Wallen behind him. As they're entering the S's. White flag is in the starter's hand and being shown to the leaders as they're approaching the finish line here. And there goes Teddy Musella, well out in front now. Maite Caceres in second, 3 seconds behind, then another 2 seconds back to Bacon Zelenka. And then here comes the battle between Christopher Parrish and Pablo Benites. Christopher holding him off at the time for the time being, but we'll follow the leader here. Teddy Musella from the pole. Has never been headed in this race. And keep an eye on this battle between Daniel Quimby and Parker Wallen as they continue to duke it out. Parker's teammate, Jake Pollock, right behind him. Heading down toward turn number 3 is this battle. Parker's has to lock it up as they go into turn 4. Heading the other direction, or out of turn 3, should we say, heading for turn 4. Now Parker's got the inside line. I think he's going to close the deal here. Yeah, he played that very well. That combination of 3 and 4, you can be on the outside of one and then you'll be on the inside on the next one. But here comes Quimby repaying the favor. Great racing here between these two. They're giving each other racing room. And Quimby back ahead. As they exit turn 7, a little cloud of dust being kicked up as another car dropped a wheel off. But meanwhile, at the front of the field, Teddy Musella in the final sequence of turns here as he makes it into the Mission Foods turn 16 and makes the sprint toward the checkered flag. The first win of the season for the youngest driver in the field, Teddy Musella from the pole. Imperious in this one. And he's going to win this one going away. You can see him pumping his fist, taking that win. And Maite Caceres, the Uruguayan, is going to take second place honors, her first podium finish. And the same for Bacon Zelenka, his best finish in an F4 car. Christopher Parrish finishes 4th. That will be his best finish ever. And right behind them, the 44, Pablo Benites Jr. And now here comes the Quimby battle with Parker Wallen. And Daniel Quimby holds him off. Parker Wallen comes home in 8th. Jake Pollock caught up with the two of them, but couldn't get by on the final lap. He'll take 9th, and the last points paying position will go to Drew Such in the number 28. Jacob Lauter, the last car on the lead lap, comes to the line. He'll finish in 11th position. Hayden, man, fantastic race so far. A couple red flags, which we never like to see, but great racing. And Christopher did a good job. Give him my congratulations if I don't see him before you do. I'm sure you'll see him before I do.
I sure will. He did a good job, so I'm pretty happy with it. He got some solid points for the team and for himself.
Yeah, exactly right. So, we'll keep our fingers crossed that Jacob can have a little better run on the other 2 races here this weekend. Mm-hmm. But tip of the hat to Teddy Musella, who showed he's going to be a factor to be reckoned with. And Maite Caceres, who led both the practice sessions, didn't have the qualifying performance that she had hoped for. But she came up from a 6th place start to finish in 2nd within touch of the leader. Hayden, I'm going to have to head down to the podium to interview the top 3 runners. Ben Sissel's going to join us. He's going to take your seat and join us here in the booth to carry the post race. So thank you so much for being with us, Hayden. Great job.
Thanks for
Good
having
luck
me.
this afternoon.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you later. So I'm going to hand it over to my friend Ben. He'll do the rundown for you. There's Teddy Musella, Maite Caceres, Bacon Zelenka, your top 3, as I make my way to the podium.
Well, thanks a lot, John. We just witnessed history, ladies and gentlemen. The Ligier JS F4 Series started this year just to keep those F4 cars running, and what a great race that was. Thank you so much, John Fippin. We will see him go down to the podium and give a great podium celebration. So we're gonna take a quick break here at the NOLA Speed Tour, but come back for the winner's circle.
Hungry for SVRA action? Well, the best way to enjoy classic auto racing is with a delicious classic from Mission Foods. Green flag your race-watching snacks with Mission's mouth-watering race day recipes. Try some of our tasty tacos, piled high nachos, fresh chips with guac, and more. So gear up your ride and fuel up those stomachs with delicious Mission Foods. Now that's too fast, too tasty.